All right, everyone, welcome to the show today. My name is Nick Nortelli, and I'm going to start that over again, Marcelo. So delete. 3, 2, 1. Hi, and welcome back. My name is Nick Nortelli. I'm one of the founding partners of Olympic Change Partners. We're a company that's passionate about empowering people like you to not only survive, but to thrive, grow, and succeed in a world that is ever evolving, ever changing. Some people say devolving. So, whether you're aiming to achieve personal goals or advance your career, hunt for a new job, or simply navigate through life's chaos, you're in the right place. And today, I'm thrilled to be joined by my friend, colleague, and fellow founding partner, David Burden. David is one of the world's leading experts in behavioral change science. Hi, David. Great to have you back here. I'm hoping we can dive right in. Can you
Thank
give
you
us a little
very
glimpse
much.
of?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I love that. I'm an expert on behavioral change on my own first and then on others second.
Right.
And so today we wanted to talk about, we've got a 10 episode series that Olympic Change Partners is doing to talk about the skills necessary to sort of keep ourselves whole during a period of uncertainty. Some might say upheaval. There's just a lot going on. Just look out your windows. And so today, over the next 30, 40 minutes or so, we wanted to talk about the, um, the issues around focus and vision. I guess, Nick, focus and, we use words like this so often. I wonder when we hear those words, what do you think about? What do you think others consider when they hear those words?
Gosh, that's a really good question, David. And my first thing, of course, because I'm so in the business world, is vision, mission, and yeah,
And
but
strategy, and yeah.
yeah, just those kind of things. But I think you're coming at it from a different place, and you're talking about
Mhm.
our individual mission and our individual focus. Is that a good guess?
It is. I mean, it applies on both sides of the equation. I mean, an individual can't have success or empowerment if they're not focused and have a vision of where they're headed. And an organization can't survive that way either. Oddly, a person with no vision or focus isn't going to be very effective individually or inside an organization. So that's kind of funny. The reason that these words are particularly important to me now in 2024 is that I have coached a number of people who just seem to be flailing with no firm footing on where they are now or where they want to go. And the lack of a plan makes life really hard. People normally think, "Oh, well, how do I have time for vision and focus? I'm trying to get the rent paid or pay the light bill, or I don't have enough money." Those are all valid concerns, but those are operational concerns. When you've got a vision and a plan to build a business or get a part-time job or collaborate with a small group of people to get some ideas on maybe some sort of entrepreneurial endeavor, that plan against the urgencies of the day begin to bring your anxiety levels down and your fear. It's hard to be afraid when you've got vision about doing something to make your circumstances better.
Isn't that correct? I really believe in that, and I think it is important. A lot of times, if we wake up without intent or wake up without a purpose and start our
Right.
day, yeah,
And we live in a cycle of the world right now. And I say right now because I'm hoping at some point it will be different, where we are very tied to these devices. And that becomes a habit. As soon as our eyes open up in the morning, we're grabbing for that device. A couple things around that. There's two times during the day where your brain is the most relaxed and the most receptive to new ideas. One is upon waking,
okay,
the other is about an hour before you go to sleep. So I just put that out there as we're trying to gain or regain focus, gain or regain some sort of vision for our lives, for our organizations that's better than what we had or better than where we're headed right now. It's important to utilize those opportunities to sort of, as you would say, ideate.
Yeah, my favorite words.
Yeah, think about the possibilities of what could be, as opposed to what email do I have, what's on social media, what happened in the news now, and then while you're reading that, rushing to your cup of coffee. This is not how we gain focus and vision. Interestingly, as well, I want to share with everybody a little fact that I came across researching some of these topics, and that is the attention span for at least those that were surveyed in America is about 8 seconds in duration.
I can believe that. We had talked about that a little bit at the last podcast, but it seems like it used to be longer.
Not by much. And 4 years ago, it was 12 seconds. So on the banner, I included a free assessment on really taking the assessment. It takes about, I don't know, it's 20 questions. It takes about 5 minutes, really, for you to really begin to identify, do I have no attention span or am I able to pay attention? Why is this important? Because focus and your attention span are tied together. Having a vision is tied to us being able to complete tasks and to focus in on things and focus other things out that are not related to that particular task. So it's an interesting, I think it's an interesting little quiz to take, because I think that when we are trying to move ourselves forward in a world that's filled with uncertainty, and every day the news and the world events become more and more and more unbelievable.
Right?
I mean, some of the stuff you just say, I can't even believe this has happened. Is this true? I mean, many people are walking around in like shock, myself included. So when we think about vision, ideation, focus, those are like the parts of empowerment and self-motivation that we don't often hear about. Being able to focus on our plan, focus on what we want to do, focus on the behaviors and the actions that are going to drive some success as you define success. Those are going to be the important elements that we should be focusing on.
Well, so I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but you were talking. I wanted to circle back a little bit because you said something important earlier about the 2 parts of the day where we have the most power to make a change. And you said that the 5 minutes after you wake up, while you're still kind of clearing your head and you have that moment alone before your day attacks you or starts.
Well, some days do attack us.
You can tell it's Friday, at least in our world, not in podcast land. I hope people are watching this anytime that's convenient for them. But we're on a Friday afternoon. It's very easy at this point after a long week for me to be distracted. An example would be, it's driving me crazy that my fake background is making my hair look like something out of a Snoopy cartoon. But even on a Friday, those first 5 minutes are fantastic. How come some people have the ability to focus better than other people do? And what are some things we can do to learn how to maintain focus?
Well, one of the things that happens is habit. So the behavior that gets repeated is the behavior that takes hold. So you wake up in the morning and you grab your phone and just begin reacting to your day from that moment forward. Well, you do that today, you do that tomorrow. By the 3rd day, it becomes almost an unconscious set of actions that you've taken. So in answer to the question, there are some of us that are not living sort of consciously, and we don't realize that we've slipped into these habits.
Kind of just you're defaulting to your normal routine rather
It's a
than
default.
waking up and saying, these are my 5 minutes. I'm going to focus on what's important today. I'm going to remind myself of what my vision is, and then kind of make a plan. Is that where you're going?
That's very well put. For me, more colloquially, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot the world is completely screwed up and who knows what is on fire today. But the first thing I do is have a glass of water, which I keep by the bed. And then I have some book either by Louise Hay or Wayne, somebody, just to read a few sentences of something that is positive and upbeat, to be able to start the day. And then being able to say, what's on my plate for today? Now, I'm at a point in my life where I realize that I can't do everything in one day. I know we'd love to be able to load our calendars up and just be able to whiz through a zillion tasks by 5 or 6 o'clock. That is sometimes unreasonable. So, especially by a Friday or sometimes even a Thursday, I just ask myself, I know that today I have more tasks on my docket than I have the energy or time to get through. What are the most critical things I need to focus on today?
Setting your top 3. We used to call them, I think they were wildly important goals for the day. Like, what are the most, if I don't get this done, I'm in trouble. That's kind of how I look at at least my work day. I've got to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to be in trouble. Everything
Sometimes, and you said something very key, I think, that a lot of people do. What are my drop dead tasks, or what do I have to do or I'll be in trouble? And I really appreciate those words. I reframe that a little bit. I say, what are if I have 20 tasks and I know I can't do those, which are the ones that if I focus on them, by the end of the day, I will feel accomplished?
Oh, I like that reprogramming. Change the message to myself to, if I don't get this done, it's bad. Instead say, if I do get these things done, I'm going to feel really good by the end of the day. Even if I miss a lot of other stuff.
Totally.
This stuff is going to make my day if I get it done.
And this helps you focus on what? Success, accomplishment, achievement, instead of the focus being on fear and the stress and the fear of not getting something done. So when you ask, well, how do some people have more focus and some don't? Honestly, there are people that have mental issues that prevent the focus, people that are suffering from behavioral health issues, anything from severe anxiety, depression, ADHD, OCD. There's a litany of things that keep people from focusing for long periods of time. Everyone does not have that, and even people who do are able to focus. So I think this is something, at least, that the research suggests, that if we focus on focus and vision and create habits that support that and follow that we can have some modicum of that. Because we know what'll happen if we continue to live our lives with no vision. Have you seen social media? Many of those people look like they have a lot of vision in their lives?
Oh,
they're very right now oriented, just hit the like, follow and like. And I'm not disparaging them, because I'm assuming they're making trillions of dollars off of social media, or at least that's what I'm led to believe. I think that, when you're looking at focus, you have to sort of say, given where we are historically, there's benefits to being able to do this and focus on ideation, building, creation, collaboration, empowerment. And if I don't focus on it, what am I going to get? Well, you're not going to get any of the things I just mentioned. So,
wow. So a real simple step, I think, is to take that 5 minutes and make your focus. I like to multitask a lot. Actually, let me say it again. I don't think I really do like multitasking a lot. My trap that I fall into is there are so many things that compete for my priorities, and I don't always have that clear focus on what I need to get done. So sometimes I find myself dealing with this crisis, and then maybe a minute, maybe 8 seconds, I'm pulled into something else very quickly, and then I'm pulled into a third thing, and I find out that I've dropped the ball on calling someone back or whatever it was in those 8 seconds. I've lost it now.
Well, and then also shifting gears like that, you never really get into what they used to call the groove of thought. You know, we used to be able to say, "Oh, don't bother me, I'm in the zone."
Yeah,
I
that
don't know if
deep
you
thinking
remember
part where you have your head down and you know that you've
I'm
reached
in the
that
zone.
production level, and if someone comes and breaks you out of that, it's going to take me another 20 minutes to get back into the engaged process of the deep thinking. I don't know how to get there.
And listen, you're more high functioning than anybody I know.
Oh no!
So I know
that
you can move from this to that to the other thing. So I just want to give you another profile on this, because there are people, and I know them, you're one of them, who can focus and, you know, shift those gears, and I mean move from thing to thing. But then what happens at the end of the day? Is there a toll? Is there a toll?
God.
And
you feel so worn out, and you have friends trying to talk to you, and you've burned every bit of your ability to engage or to reach a stage where you're having that personal connection. People know when you're there and when you're, you know, just kind of there. And I don't like to burn all the best of me off.
Well, get to the end of my day. So I mean, all of what we're talking about today is choice. You know, and you and I both know, because we've talked about it since the beginning of COVID. We've talked about how people are struggling. We've worked with large governments that are failing, and people are going out on disability and dying at their desks because there's just no vision. There's no focus. Everything's an emergency. Everything's a fire. Everything's important. Well, it's impossible for that to be. You know, so we know what that looks like organizationally, and then we know what it looks like privately or on the individual. And so that's why this topic is so important. My father used to say, "Son, at some point you need to sit down and come to yourself." Now, he told me this a million years ago. As I've gotten older, I know that now means to sit down and figure out of all these things that I'm doing, what's important? What is this leading to? How do I feel about this? What toll is this taking on me? And in the world we're living in, where we're informed by social media and other forms of media too, that we don't know if it's real or not real. What can we believe? All the rest of this. So you have to start by sort of filtering out. You can't just take everything in and act on everything. That is the opposite of focus.
It's so true. Well, what is the value then in terms of, you know, sometimes we talk about mindfulness and you know, what are some things we can do to enhance our focus, to become
the very, you know what, I have to tell you that I am very married to the idea of understanding where I am at the moment. I want to know right now, where do I stand in terms of my focus? Where do I stand in terms of emotional intelligence? Because I need to know where I'm starting from.
Right.
Otherwise, any plan that I make may not necessarily be the most appropriate plan. So one of the first things that I would recommend for people to do is to give themselves like a 15-minute break and take this assessment that's free, easy, and the link is right there for everybody, and find out where they are. And then when you get the result back, just take a moment and make a couple of notes about, gosh, are you shocked or surprised? Are you happy with what that says about how long you're able to focus? What are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? Is it taking you where you need to be between now and, this is July 19, so let's make it easy, October 19. How about 90 days? Where would you like to be in 90 days? Would you like to have your house clean, your dishes done, your finances organized? Would you like to start an exercise program? Would you like to know where your health is? What goals do you have? So being able to assess, interpret what that means for you, and then begin to say, what would I like to see happen? Now, some people could call this, well, David, that sounds like strategy building. Well, maybe it is. But to me, it's mindfulness, because mindfulness is about making me feel calmer in my body, more empowered in my body and mind and spirit, and feeling like I'm on the journey of making something better. We're dealing in a time, lots of people have anxiety. Very high stats on the numbers of people with anxiety in America today. I can tell you from personal experience that it's very, very difficult, probably not impossible, but certainly difficult for me to be worried about something that I am simultaneously engaging in a plan to correct. I can't worry about it and then also be fixing it at the same time.
No, you're right.
Weird, but
So
I
is this
think
the role that meditation plays?
yes.
You wanted to speak a little bit about meditation, and I wanted to have you define that first, because maybe it's just me, but I always think of meditation as people sitting around going, Om, or something like that.
And that could be.
Is
Well,
it?
you're talking to somebody who has spent pretty much their whole lives in church.
Okay.
And in choirs. I used to sing in choirs with some really super amazing people. So when people ask me what meditation sounds like or what it is, meditation to me is singing maybe 3 or 4 of my gospel songs. And if anybody listening knows what the Baptist church may have looked like back in the 80s, one song could be a half an hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I'll sing for an hour. Maybe I will sit by the pool and just write out things I'd like to see happen. That's a form of meditation. Maybe, and often I do this, I think about all the things I'm grateful for. One of the meditations that I've been sharing a lot lately, working with some other people, is the envisioning, especially in moments where I'm stressed or I can feel that I'm about to become afraid of something. What I'll do is I just envision myself standing in a circle of all the people who have ever empowered my life.
Wow. That's really deep. So you're taking this time that's kind of protected time where you have a pretty high expectation of not being disturbed or interrupted, and you choose to do something that resets you, like you mentioned, singing, but also visualizing.
Yeah.
That's a whole podcast in itself, isn't it? Visualization.
Well, it is. And you mentioned something about setting time aside. I don't always have that much control over my day, right? Because
many of us don't.
Sometimes 2:00 means 2, so, but what I can do the things that I just mentioned, I can do like that. I mean, except for the singing part, but
you can visualize yourself in a group of peers, and you can reach that mental. It might take me a little practice, David.
And it's a large group of people.
Wow.
That includes people like you and Dame Shirley Bassey.
I was going to say, am I there? And Toto and Auntie M and Shirley Bassey. And
I actually presented this at a talk I did at a mental health facility. And they were astounded. Because I thought, when you get older or when you're going through something, it's very easy to lose sight of good things.
Right.
When you're in a bad spot, these are not going to be moments where you're going to say, oh, I know things are so awful, but gosh, I'm so grateful. So when you force yourself into a habit of saying, you know what? I've got a lot of great people, some of them gone, some of them here, but I have always been surrounded by support. And you talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is about connecting with yourself, calming yourself, resetting yourself, hopefully resetting into something positive, right? I'm not going to reset myself into anger. I'm going to
No.
reset myself into, I've always been cared for. There's always been resources. There has always been support. Because the Surgeon General only a few weeks ago said this pandemic we're in is now about isolation. So this activity and isolation and anxiety, there's a whole correlation with that, on the APA websites. But when you look at doing that activity, which can take only a minute, because you envision yourself in a circle, you're just standing there, you're thinking about all the people, you're seeing their faces, maybe you're hearing their voices, and they are all saying something empowering to you.
Wow. That's a nice. Now I'm having a visualization of that experience. So, David,
you can do that anywhere.
In our last final minutes, I think we're coming. Mm-hmm. We got about 5 minutes left. Would you like to kind of encapsulate the messages that we've talked about today, and give us some action steps, and tell us where we can find more helpful information?
Well, first of all, you will always be able to find more information on our website, because our website is the place where the assessments are going to be. In fact, I've also written a white paper on the importance of starting your day in an empowered manner. And I have 10 really important steps that include the things I've shared with you today. Because how you start your day is going to determine your focus. And your focus is going to determine whether or not you have the wherewithal to create a vision for something better. And I keep saying, create a vision for something better, because without creating a vision for something better, all you're going to have left to stare at are the things that are happening now.
Oh.
The things that are happening now will pass. And when they do, you'll have been working on your vision for an empowered future, as opposed to saying, oh, gee, well, I'm glad that's over. Now what do we do? So, I mean, you can choose whatever you want to think and how you want to, apply yourself toward this. But OlympicChangePartners.com has assessments, white papers, one-page tips and tricks on a lot of behavioral health issues that affect all of us. I also really would encourage you to take this assessment. You can take it on your phone, which is what I did. I was in a meeting earlier today, and I thought, I wonder if there's a psych assessment for attention. And sure enough, there was. And here it is, and it's great. So I would encourage you to do that. I would also encourage you to start thinking about what you'd like to see happen going forward. Because right now, the momentum is all about what's going to happen in November, what's happening today, what other bad thing has happened. And I know how wonderful it is. As human beings, we love to look at bad things. They garner more of our attention than positive things. And when we allow that to happen, and I say allow because you can stop, you can intervene in that. When you allow that to go forward, you're focusing on things that take all your power away. It takes your ability to deal with change in a positive way. It takes that away. So in terms of a step, and there's a guy named Alan Watts who, depending on your point of view, he's either a weirdo or an expert. I think he's somewhere in the middle. But he talks a lot about change and creativity and vision. The only way to make sense out of change is to get into it, move with it, join that dance. Now, as a step, what I would say, instead of clutching your pearls and being afraid and talking about how bad everything is, before you go there with it, you see change coming, you say, wow, this is different. Explore it, question it. Ask other people about it. What can happen with this? Now, when you ask a lot of questions about change, then you're able to figure out, okay, what do I need to learn, unlearn, do differently? How can I gather myself to be as effective with this and dance as wonderfully with this change as I can? One of the other steps that I would give you in terms of focus and vision is to use the 2 times a day where our brains are the most receptive, upon waking and upon our almost going to sleep, those moments when we're about to go to sleep. Use those times, and there's no recipe specifically for it. Gratitude, you breathing. What would I like to accomplish today, given the constraints of the day? I'm only one person. I can't do 50 things today. What are the most important that will make me feel achieved, accomplished by the end of the day? And at the end of the day, we're not making a list of what's due tomorrow. We're grateful for getting through this. We're grateful for the feeling of achievement. And that gratitude helps to relax us into a sound sleep. So those are some of the things that I would recommend as next steps. I would also recommend, again, going to our website. We've taken a lot of time and effort to put tools together that are mental health strategy tools. So whether you're an individual struggling to create a life for yourself out of the madness going on today, maybe you're a manager in an organization struggling to deal with people that don't want to work in the office and people that want to work at home, and no one's really on the same page. Wherever you are, we've got something for you at our website, www.olympicChangePartners.com.
We do indeed. And David, thank you so much for today's message. And please, friends, follow our website link. You'll find the other link that David put up on the screen earlier, because I know it's difficult to cut and paste that or take a screenshot. So we're going to make that very easy for you to find on the tips and tricks and tools button. And we will join you again with another podcast. What's coming up next, David?
The next podcast that we're going to do is one that we have titled Preventing Your Own Extinction.
Whoa, that one sounds very interesting.
That one may come with its own t-shirt.
I think it should. Maybe a dinosaur. So thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget, go to our website. Follow us on social media. You'll be the first to find out about upcoming podcasts. You're also going to find out about when we announce them, special events, which include live webinars where you'll actually be able to interact and ask questions live. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again. Goodbye.